Hello, LendIt Fintech community. I'm Joy Schwartz, president of LendIt Fintech, here with Enrique O'Reilly, the director for Latin America and the Caribbean of Temenos, a leading banking software company. And Enrique, I'm so excited to have you here. This is our opportunity for a sneak peek of what to expect in the lead up to LendIt Fintech Latin America, our in-person event happening in Miami, December 7th and 8th. Enrique, we're so excited to have you participate at the event as a partner, and I'm excited to have this opportunity to take a look behind the hood of the car and get to know you better in advance of the event.
Joy, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for the invitation, and good day to you and to all of the people in the audience.
So Enrique, to kick off the conversation, can you take a minute just to give myself and our viewers today a little background into your role at Tenemos?
Sure. Temenos is a European-based company out of Switzerland, but we operate worldwide. And I'm the regional director for Latin America and the Caribbean. I'm based here in Miami, so it will be quite handy for the event. But I oversee 5 offices that we have throughout the region in Brazil, Colombia, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Mexico, and hopefully opening new offices in a few more countries. We have clients in all of these countries, and we have a team of sales people, consultant people, and development people that basically help us get our systems and our process and our projects up and running. So we have about 100 clients in the region, and I'm in charge of all the profit and loss for this specific region.
Wow, that is a big team, and I imagine it's growing very fast.
Indeed, I think we have had growths of around 20-25% since we started. 10 years ago, we were a handful of clients, but right now we are going beyond 100 banks in the Caribbean and Latin America using our products. And I think we're covering every single country. We're just missing one, which hopefully we're trying to get in this at the end of this year or early 2022.
Now, I know you've been in your current role for, I believe it's a little bit over 8 years now. So you've had an opportunity to really see how the Latin American financial services, banking, and fintech marketplace has changed so dramatically, so quickly. I'd love to hear your perspective on what are some of the biggest changes that you've been observing over this time.
Sure. I think, 8 years ago, Latin America has always been an exciting region. For me, particularly, I was originally born in Mexico. So although I started working for Temenos when I was living in London, I wanted to come back to my roots. So it's an area that has a lot of interest for me. And the way it has evolved over the last few years is incredible. And one of the positive things is one of the regions that really started embracing the fintech revolution, I think, earlier than many other countries, even in the United States. So although a lot of these regulations started in Europe, I think Latin America has been very quick to adopt it and to start using it as a mechanism for evolving their financial sectors. I think our region suffers a lot from a big proportion of the population which is unbanked, and a lot of the new technology is helping to bring financial products and services to a wider proportion of the population. So I think it's all very positive. But certainly the last 2 years have been the most challenging ones.
And kind of leading on that question, I know you have in particular 2 key products that are servicing the Latin American banking community. You were giving me a little bit of background prior to this live stream, and you were talking about your manufacturing model and your distributed model. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how each of those products is serving different members of the financial services community?
Sure. As I told you, we cover all of the areas of banking, and we work with smaller microfinance institutions or very large multinational banks, and we do every sector of banking: wholesale banking, private banking, community banking, etc. But what we are seeing in the world, in particular with the fintech revolution, is this You have specialization of institutions that are either retreating to manufacture products for them and for others, and other institutions that want to be connected to the client and making sure that they can source different products and services from different institutions, but make sure that they can offer the best products to their clients. So for those two types of institutions, we have a multi-channel platform, which we call Temenos Infinity, and that's the one that you will be using to create mobile apps and internet portals and the user experience, so how you want the clients of the bank to experience the service. And on the other end, what we have is our transactional core banking system that basically is the engine that runs the bank, that runs the back office operation. So a lot of institutions will continue to do both, but we're finding more and more, especially with fintech, institutions that want to be placed more at the distribution end or more at the manufacturing end. But with either of those, I think we can provide them with excellent technology.
Mm-hmm. And how would you say, especially in the current day and time, when your clients are picking up the phone and they're calling you and they're asking you for help, what's the most common, biggest problem that you're usually called upon to resolve?
I think what most of them want is they hear the word digitalization and the fintech revolution, and most of them, they don't know how to start moving towards that. So I think the most basic question is, help me be a digital bank. And we have a few analogies, like we actually said, okay, you can start with the front end, but digital is not a mobile app. In fact, we use the analogy of, it's like lipstick on a pig. You put lipstick on a pig, but it's still a pig. If you're going to digitize your bank, you need to think of all of your processes, all of your systems, and how can you make them more efficient, more automatic, more automation of the different processes that you have in there. So that's why we're playing in both ends, on the manufacturing and the back end side of the bank, the back office, as well as in the front office. But yeah, different banks adopt different models. We have seen many banks that rather than changing what they have, they rather launch a new brand that is going to be their digital approach. And we saw that with Next, for example, in Brazil from Bradesco. We saw it with maybe C6. We saw it with Banco del Sol, that is another client of ours. And so many of the established banks are launching separate brands for a new digital bank. Others are opting for little by little modernize their solution. And we can also help them in doing this way, because our components can be installed module by module. So you don't need to do a full core renovation, especially if you are a large established bank, and that project might carry high risks.
Very interesting. So there's two roads to Rome, or right. There may be 10 roads to Rome. So speaking about 2021 and understanding that before we know it, it's going to be January, it's going to be a new year, it's a time for us to be a little reflective. I'd love to hear from you. Is there one particular partnership that you had the opportunity and pleasure to work on in the past year that you're particularly proud of, that you'd love to share with our audience?
Yeah, I'll mention two, but one in particular, which I think is also very dear to me, is because I believe a lot in the concept of financial inclusion. It's a project that we started with the National Bank in Peru, Banco de la Nación de Peru. This is a project that we were invited on around this time last year. As by presidential decree, the bank needed to be used to channel subsidies and help funds for the population that was affected by the pandemic, by COVID. So being able to get a new product, a new bank, in fact, on the cloud with a very simple current account, with mobile applications for people to be able to use these subsidies from the government using mobile wallets. So it was all new technology that will affect a large proportion of the Peruvian population, where they only needed to have their national identification number to open an account. So the fact that we were able to do that in record time, so when we started engaging the bank, that was at the end of last year. So by April, we had the first solutions ready for them to start testing and using. We've already disbursed the first amount of subsidies. We're in the second cycle, which is now being targeting around 2.1 individuals, and there's now plans for a third cycle. And the fact that the government has changed in Peru has not had any adverse effect in this project. This is a wonderful project to promote financial inclusion, to promote help and distribution of resources to the people in need. So I think it's great for Peru, and I wish other countries in Latin America will use a project like that. Another partnership that has been fantastic has been with PayPal, which most of you know very well. But that's one of the examples of another institution that is suddenly providing financial services. So instead of just using your float in your PayPal account, you can now ask for a loan the moment that you need to buy something if you don't have enough money. So that loan is being processed within Temenos, in the Temenos cloud, and we are now reaching levels of around 30 million loans around the world. So it's incredible how with technology you can scale up and you can help all of these institutions innovate and provide better products for the clients.
Oh, thank you. Those are two really fascinating examples. I'm a little biased. As I mentioned earlier, my husband is Peruvian. So I'd love to just kind of dig a little deeper in one comment that you made a few minutes ago about how this project did not get derailed when there was a change in government with a new president in Peru. Why do you think that was?
I think when you have good ideas and when there is a good project that really benefits society, it doesn't matter whether you are very conservative coming from the right or a government that is more left-leaning. I think this project in particular is designed to help Peru, is designed to help Peruvians, and by all accounts, and it is a project that should progress and should exist. So we were very happy to see that the new government in Peru, when they saw it, they actually decided to put more resources behind it because they will be able to help more people.
Mm-hmm. And then how would you feel? I mean, the LendIt FinTech community also consists of a lot of international investors. And I know, especially sometimes when there is, what can be observed as political instability that can, detract investors, inclination to invest in a particular market. And I'm sure that there may be some investors that may be a little bit uneasy at this point, putting their dollars into FinTech in Peru or in Argentina or other countries where there's been more instability. What would you say to them?
I think that the whole fintech revolution is so important for all of these countries that they are quite, the opposite. They are opening themselves and they are providing regulation so everybody knows, how the game is going to be played. So, I think that if all the investors and fintech companies that evolve, follow those regulations, lobby their governments to make it easier to participate, I think it's going to be, a plus for everyone. As I said at the beginning, I was very, well impressed by the speed at which Latin America is embracing some of the open banking and the fintech laws, and some countries making it very strict, as in the case of Mexico or Brazil, where they are telling the banks, you need to open up, you need to interconnect. That is what is creating the new, groundwork for all the technology to work. So I'm sure you will see very, very soon that the sophistication and access to financial products in our region, in LatAm, are going to be better than many other places in the first world. And, I'm quite proud of that.
So changing gears a little bit, understanding that there's so much activity and there's so much movement so fast within the world of LatAm, fintech, and banking, are there any particular trends that you're really interested in and following particularly closely?
Yeah, I think one that we all need to follow is this idea of embedded banking. I think, we at some point we're saying there is banks and there is fintechs. Sometimes they compete, sometimes they work together. I think they're all part of a new ecosystem of providers of functions and products that as consumers we will be taking. But the idea that now, you can ask for a loan just with a click of a mouse without even knowing that you're asking for a loan. I think that is, you can think about your vacation and you can think about the place that you want to go, but you are not thinking about that you have to ask for a loan to, to be able to buy the ticket to pay for that hotel, but that is going to be provided to you at the point of your decision. So this concept of embedded banking and how easy it will be to use your money, I think that is quite remarkable. And the other one, which I also believe, is that banks also need to transform themselves and become more involved in the lives of their clients. Banks need to become more coaches to help you manage your finances better, to help you understand how are you using your financial resources, and help you in every stage of your life to fulfill your goals, whether you want to buy a second home or whether you want to save to send your kids to university. All of those things are quite important. And for all of these institutions to take a bigger role in getting involved with their clients, not just to save their money or to safeguard their funds, but to make sure that they can use all of these funds in the most proactive and better way.
Thank you. I absolutely agree with you. And it's exciting to see how the role of banks in our lives continues to evolve, especially as people get more and more choices. It's really going to be the banks that evolve with the customers that I think win at the end. Now we're nearing the end of our time together, but I have two final questions for you.
Okay.
One, mixing it up, I'd love to hear one thing about you that most of our community probably would not know. It can be business related, not business related. We're going to be meeting in Miami in person. So what can we look forward to?
Well, as I said at the beginning, I originally was born in Mexico, and that's where I went to school first. But I left in 1986 and I had the opportunity of living in London and going throughout Europe for around 17 years. And then the last sort of right now, 14, 15 years of my career have been in the United States. So I consider myself a citizen of the world, although I love Latin America as being my birthplace and being the area where I'm most identified with. I like to see how all of these trends are being part of a whole world moving together. So perhaps that's...
And last but not least, Enrique, what are you most looking forward to in 3 weeks at the LendIt Fintech LatAm event?
Well, as I said, to me, the one of the best things is to come back to be able to meet people in person. I think we all miss the contact, and as much as we enjoy technology and has been a great driver of efficiency to have many meetings during the day, I think that the fact that you can travel to a location and you can meet and greet person, face to face is quite important. And more than anything, I mean, this sector is moving incredibly fast. So I'm looking forward of sharing our experiences and learning from our colleagues about all of the different trends that are happening in this financial sector in our region. So it's going to be a very exciting event, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thank you so much, Enrique, for joining me this afternoon. It's been a pleasure to start the process of getting to know you. And I look forward to meeting you in person very shortly, December 7th and 8th in Miami. So just thank you to our community for tuning in. And Enrique and I look forward to seeing you at LendIt Fintech Latin America. Have a great afternoon, Enrique.
The pleasure has been all mine. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon, you too. Take care. Bye, everyone.